When I was in the United States and I lived with the great Mahasiddha, Geshe Tsurim Gyaltsen, for many years, and I explained about when we went to the International Buddhist Gathering and how among all the famous Buddhists and the elite masters and teachers that were there, Geshe-la, in front of everybody, didn't chant some intricate tantric rituals or liturgy or prayers, which he is a master of, but he chanted the simple Lama Tsongkhapa prayer, Guru Yoga Lama Tsongkhapa. And among so many traditions and so many people who were there, and everybody had their special chanting and their special accompanying, if I may say so, music. And when it was Geshe-la's turn to chant, to represent the whole Tibetan tradition, because we were there with him to represent the Tibetan tradition, I really thought Geshe-la would go into an extensive, very beautiful chant, which Tibet has, but he didn't. He didn't even inflect his voice in any way. He just chants straight and very soft and very gentle with his eyes closed and his hands folded at his heart. And I sat behind him. And at first I was a little embarrassed. And as I thought deeper, I thought, it's profound. And I asked Geshe-la why he chose Lama Tsongkhapa out of everything when there are so much more complex practices. And he told me on the way back in the car that all 84,000 teachings of the Buddha is contained in the Guru Yoga Lama Tsongkhapa. What would be more profound to chant among such erudite masters and people and audience to bless those people? So he said that's it, and he didn't make any more explanations. And I know that that wasn't a show of simplicity or he was in a rush, because he was not in a rush. He didn't have any other appointments. And that's what he have us do before every teaching, every Sunday, that he always wanted us not to miss. He doesn't like it when we miss Sunday teachings, because he says one day of the week we need to reward ourselves with something, which is the Dharma. So therefore, every Sunday, there will be umses, just like we have in our center. And the Dharma students will switch around and take turns to be who's the umse, the lead chanter, to lead Lama Tsongkhapa's prayer. And exactly what we do in our center. And also our Kichara Media Publications Group writers and liaison recently went to meet His Holiness Ganden Chirimchi. And His Holiness Ganden Chirimchi, also in his advice to us, was if we want to benefit others, we want to benefit ourselves. If we want to do Dharma practice, then do Lama Tsongkhapa's Guru Yoga. You may think, well, of course he'll say that because that's Ganden Chirimchi, but he could have said to do a more extensive prayer, more extensive Lama Tsongkhapa prayer, more extensive rituals, or go get Yamataka. Yamataka is very specific of the Gelugpa school of Buddhism. But he didn't. He said simply Lama Tsongkhapa. Guru Yoga, in fact, Guru Yoga. So listening to the advice of these great masters and growing up with this, I would recommend people to memorize one stanza every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, one. Then these 3 weeks pass, 4 weeks pass, 1, 2, 3 months pass. You have a prayer memorized, something holy that's in you that you can recite. So we should memorize the Guru Yoga of Lama Tsongkhapa, recite the Miksama very well. And if we can, upon waking in the morning, before we make phone calls, before we check SMS, before we look around, before we do anything, before we do anything at all, we should definitely, before engaging our mind in anything, in any activity, before we even open our mouth for any activity, worldly activity, we should immediately recite the Guru Yoga Lama Tsongkhapa. That would be very profound. Why? It's simple, it's clean, it's pure, it's gentle, and it starts our day off perfectly. And if we can think about the meanings of Lama Tsongkhapa and its relevance, along with chanting it, how profound. People always look for very profound practices and profound initiations, profound works. Some of us are qualified for it. Most of us, including me, are not. So therefore, we still want something. So we have to get away from the psyche or the thinking that all or nothing. Let's have something. Not all or nothing. Not nothing or all or nothing. Something. Because something eventually collects into something big. So therefore, that's very, very important. Very, very important. So therefore, when we start off our day, Lama Tsongkhapa's chanting would be very beautiful for those who don't have a specific practice. Very beautiful. Even for our kids that we love so much, to wake up and teach them Lama Tsongkhapa's chanting and teach them to do Miksama. Start them off young. If we love our kids very much, providing for them materially is very good, but you can't take care of them for the rest of their lives. And your worry doesn't become less once they grow up and they leave you. Your worry doesn't become less. On the contrary, it becomes more. So if you start them off with the Dharma young and early, they will have something to guide and protect them after they have left the nest, after they have left your care and love, that they can take care of themselves. Think the little bit of Dharma that you have received, how much has guided your life. The little bit of Dharma that you have gotten, look how much it's helped your life. And you received it late, some of you. Imagine if these beings got the same benefit as you early on. Early on. Why? To convert them and say, hey, you're Buddhist? That's not the point. We can have a lot of labeled Sunday Buddhists. It doesn't help. But to actually teach them the principles of Buddhism, especially cause and effect, and to avoid emotional problems and difficulties that they can create for themselves, to reiterate that, and to be honest with them, and to teach them. When you give them Buddhist principles and prayer and chanting, when they get older, they will have something to guide them, because their beautiful mother and their loving father may not always be around, physically around them. So how? Does our care stop once they leave us? Of course not. And a lot of parents in the past have come to me lamenting about their children not listening, going the wrong way, or whatnot. Many times I've heard. And some of them I told the truth, some of them I dare not, because they're not ready to hear it. They didn't start off their kids early on some kind of spiritual practice that would guide them in their life. So that's very, very important to start that off. And I know some people who have started their kids on spiritual practice early, and they grow up to be good kids, cooperative, and they know how to guide themselves. They will make mistakes. They will. But it'll be much less. And when they make the mistakes, it'll be easier to bring them back onto the right path. If you have some basis to talk. I'm your mother, you have to listen to me. How long will that last? How much hold will that have in the end? Sometimes it doesn't even have hold now, as young kids. So later, how? Think. It's very, very important. Remember, religion makes us upright and good citizens. That's the purpose of religion. If we do it otherwise, of course, it's different. We could be very bad citizens. But the purpose is to make up upright, good citizens. So why don't we start with young kids? Buddhism teaches respect of elders and respect of parents, cause and effect as a basis of not harming others. Instead of using negative verbalities to other people, we can chant mantras and prayers. It has a very deep philosophy for us who want to look deeper. It's beneficial all around. Very, very beneficial. If we passed away, it would be more beneficial for our kids to offer a stick of incense to Tara for our welfare than to put a picture of us and offer fruits to us. Be much more beneficial for them and you. So therefore, start the kids early. And if we wish to start the kids early, kids are very intelligent. How do we know? Because we remember a lot of things when we were kids. A lot of things that we didn't know, our parents didn't know we knew. And some of the things we didn't know as kids, when we grew up, we figured it out. We can put two and two together. So therefore, if we wish to have our kids start on spiritual practice, and we want them to be protected and cared for, not a mystical protection, oh, they took refuge in Tara, they're safe, and they don't have to do anything. No, not that type. A real protection, guided by principles and ethics such as cause and effect, the eight mind transformations, respect of elders, respect of the law. If we wish them to follow that, we have to start ourselves. So sometimes we may feel lazy, but you see, mothers and fathers are very kind. They do a lot of things that they don't want to do, but they do it for their kids. A lot of things. A lot of things they wouldn't do ordinarily, or they wouldn't bother doing except for their kids. What's one more step? If the parents practice Dharma, attend Dharma talks, and the parents themselves transform, the kids will see that. It will influence them. So when we talk to them, we should do this and this, it will have power. So that's another motivation for us to practice Dharma, for the love of another person. As I told you in the beginning of this talk earlier today, we do Dharma practice out of compassion. We can do it out of fear, we can do it out of compassion. Both is valid. Lamrim, fear of the lower realms, fear of our life and sufferings, fear of future life's incarnations. Fear of samsara in general is a valid cause for taking refuge or practicing the Dharma. Similarly, love, compassion is a very valid cause. Because in the Tantras, it always says, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will engage in so and so and so practice. Always in the beginning, after refuge. So therefore, engaging in tantric practice or engaging in practice out of great compassion is valid also. Very, very valid. So where else best to start than with our kids? So we should think in many ways. Many, many ways. We don't have kids for our parents. Some of our parents will never hear the word of Buddha, or have heard it and don't understand it. And they create deeper holes for themselves. With respect to them, they may love us, but it doesn't mean they're enlightened beings. And some parents create deeper holes for themselves, and they argue, they don't get along, they're full of anger, they're dissatisfied, they feel lonely, they can't express it, they're trapped by a cultural mores, and they can't do anything, they can't advance anymore. And their life wither away with old age in this kind of emotional depression and unhappiness, and it gets deeper. And we watch them, when we see them, and instead of lamenting and worrying and don't know what to do, if we engage in Dharma practice and dedicate to them, it has effect. The Chinese believe that if we sponsor something at the temple in someone's name, it has benefit for them. So it's the same logical reasoning. Same. So like that, sponsoring something in someone's memory is very nice. But even that memory won't last. Sponsoring something in for someone's virtue and their future lives and their collection of merit, and for them to be released from samsara, will last. How long will it last? Until the culmination or the fruitioning of that wish that's been planted. Has much more value. Much more value. So therefore, it's very important for us to practice spiritual path well, sincerely, as best as we can, out of compassion for others. Out of compassion, beginning with the people who we are responsible for or have been responsible for us. Very, very important. If we practice Dharma, our relationship with our spouses, our lovers, our friends will become better. Definitely. For some of us, if we had met Dharma many years ago, we would have been very different today. Many things that have happened would not have happened today. If we had practiced Dharma many years ago, it would be different. If we practice Dharma now, then many years in the future, it will also be positively different for us. It is too late to start for what's happened in the past, but it isn't too late to start for what will happen for the future. Dharma practice has full benefit. No negative repercussion. Let me reiterate again. The Dharma that I'm sharing with all of you comes from a valid basis, is world-renowned, is accepted, is not something we need to check any further. So if we engage in it, definitely has benefits. So before we start our Dharma talk, I would like to do a simple chanting of Lama Tsongkhapa again for all of you, for all of us, to alleviate our negative dispositions temporarily and to open up positive dispositions. And to also bless everyone by the power of Lama Tsongkhapa, not by my power, by the power of Lama Tsongkhapa, if we tap into his energy, the energy of compassion, wisdom, and power. And we should think at this time that may Lama Tsongkhapa bless me, that the difficulties in my mind become easier to handle due to the understanding of Dharma and the application of its practices.
Kunjo sonda gyabzo ji senjen tangje dagi ru janju ne la goba ji janju sene yang dagi kunjo sonda gyabzo ji senjen tangje dagi janju ne la goba gi janju sene yang dagi kunjo sonda gyabzo ji senjen tangje dagi ru janju ne la goba gi janju sene yang dagi tangje dune saje da sema la so me ba da la ji da nem Bedur ye ranzin jambo ni ju ji lada mi ye chube se mosu shanda yigi ju kunzan junzen lana me namki gamgyu gao gu ji kande kwaji gunji duga ne raga shoza punji junji juji jebo gunjen lozan zha sedang jeba ne de shensu so.
From the heart of Ganden heaven sits the almighty Maitreya Buddha, the Buddha to come next, the fifth universal monarch. From his golden heart and his compassionate smile and his beautiful countenance, Maitreya, from his heart comes a yogurt cloud-like wisp, and it opens up into a seat On top of that is a throne, a lotus, a sun, and a moon disk. On top of that sits all-knowing King of Dharma, Lama Tsongkhapa. On his left is his regent, or the master of great sutra. On his left is the master of Tantra, Khedru Rinpoche. On his right, your left, is the master of Sutra, Getsab Rinpoche. The Dharma king and his two spiritual sons come forth, very bright and luminous and happy and golden, in front of us. And they come out of compassion due to our requests. O venerable gurus with white smiles of delight, seated on a lion throne, lotuses and moon in the space before me, I request you to remain for 100 aeons in order to spread the teachings and be the supreme field of merit for my mind of faith. In order to subdue my arrogance, I make mental, physical, and verbal prostration to you. Your minds have the intellect that comprehends the full extent of all that can be known. Your speech with its excellent explanation becomes an ear ornament for those of good fortune. Your bodies are radiantly handsome with glory renowned. I prostrate to you. To behold, hear, or recall is worthwhile. In order to destroy miserliness and attachment and stinginess, in order to get all the necessities that I may use toward my spiritual practice and benefit others, I make offerings of pleasing waters, flowers, fragrant incense, light, and scented water, an ocean of actual and visualized cloud-like offerings I present to you, O supreme field of merit. Since when negativities fall upon me, only I experience them, even in a place that has an earthquake, if I have the karma to experience that, I will experience my house being destroyed, my family being killed, my body being damaged, sickness, and all difficulties, and even getting help. But if I don't really have the karma or the propensity to receive that, even if I'm in an earthquake area, I will not experience the devastation of the earthquake as much as my neighbor might. So like that, all actions only come back to me. All actions come back to me resembling the cause. So therefore, if the actions coming back to me, be they negative, resemble the cause, then therefore I must have done something that resembles the actions that I have experienced. So therefore, with a deep mind of regret and a deep mind of fear for all the things that I have done in this life and previous life, knowingly, unknowingly, with great fear, trembling, and a sincere mind of regret to reform, to change, and transform, I offer up to you, Lama Tsongkhapa, my confessions for every non-virtuous actions of body, speech, and mind I have accumulated from beginning of this time, and especially any transgressions of my 3 vows, I confess again and again with fervent regard from my heart. In order to counter great jealousy, to see others in good positions or something good happen to them. Although my mouth may speak praises, but my heart feels jealousy, uncomfortable, and I do not feel well at all. In order to counter great jealousy, unsettled mind, then I rejoice in the actions of all human beings that are positive. I rejoice in the actions of the devas, and I rejoice in the actions of the bodhisattvas and buddhas with no sign of jealousy at all. Therefore, in your great actions, my Lord, from the depths of my heart we rejoice, O protectors, Lama Tsongkhapa and 2 sons, in the great ways of your deeds, you who strove to learn and practice in this degenerate age. In this degenerate age you made time useful and meaningful, and made life meaningful by abandoning all the 8 worldly dharmas. I rejoice in your holy deeds. And only to understand about karma and its effects, and only to fear suffering, and only to experience suffering is not enough, but to seek a recourse, to seek a method, to seek an answer, to seek a way out is most important. And therefore, in order for a rain of Dharma to come forth, my Lord Lama Tsongkhapa, to create the propensity for me to receive Dharma, for me to receive the holy Dharma with no obstacles, from the inside, my mind, from the outside, environmental causes, from family and friends and all situations that I may not have any obstacles to receive the Dharma, in order to plant the seeds that I may not have obstacles to receive the Dharma, inner and outer obstacles. I request you for the Dharma. By requesting you for the Dharma, I create the propensity to receive the Dharma. O holy and venerable Lama, from the cloud of your compassion that forms in the skies of your Dharmakaya wisdom, that releases a rain of vast and profound Dharma, precisely in accordance with the needs of those to be trained, please fulfill.
Dagi jine sabi genwang di chandan zhuwa kunla ka pa ta jeba jezun lozan zhaba yi tenbi himpo ring du sa shi shu.
And whatever good merits and good deeds I've done, if undedicated and left, it's like a candle in the wind, it can be snuffed out easily. Therefore, in order for my merits not to be gone, from the vast amount of effort that I placed, and from the amount of work that I have placed, and the amount of effort that I placed, and the monumental effort that I put in to break my habituations in order to do Dharma work, in order that I may collect merit, so that that merit does not get wasted and burned up by my anger, I dedicate it at this time. I dedicate whatever virtues I've collected for the benefit of the teachings and all sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of the Venerable Losang Chakpa Lama Tsongkhapa to shine forever.
Sa shi bu ji ju ji men so zhuang ri dang den sin den den gen ba di sang jian xi zhou mi zhe wa yi zhu guan nam da xin la chu ba ra shu. O ma yi da ma gu ru ra da ma da la ga ne ra ya ta ya mi. Mi me zhe wei zhe jin qian ren zi zhui me gen wei om bo jian bei ya. Du bo ma yi zhong zhe sang wei da. Kan jin ge bei zu jin song ga ba lo sang zha bei sha la so wang de mi me zhe wei qi jin qian ren zi zhui me gen wei om bo jian bei ya. Du bo ma yi zhong zhe sang wei da. Kan jin ge bei zu jin song ga ba lo sang zha bei sha la so wang de mi me zhe wei qi jin qian ren zi zhui me gen wei om bo jian bei ya. Du bo ma yi zhong zhe sang wei da. Kan jin ge bei zu jin song ga ba lo sang zha bei sha la so wang de mi me zhe wei qi jin qian ren zi zhui me gen wei om bo jian bei ya. Du bo ma yi zhong zhe sang wei da. Kan jin ge bei zu jin song ga ba lo sang zha bei sha la so wang de. Penden sawe lama rinpoche dagin dinga pempen tenchun la karen chemo konin chisin te kusun tuki ngondru cheng du so. Lama Tsongkhapa's two sons melt into light and dissolve into the principal Lama Tsongkhapa. Lama Tsongkhapa's throne, which represents the four fearlessness and the four noble truths, dissolve into Lama Tsongkhapa. Lama Tsongkhapa's lotus, and Lama Tsongkhapa's representing great compassion, and his sun disk and moon disk representing great bliss and wisdom dissolves into Lama Tsongkhapa. Lama Tsongkhapa himself dissolves in something small, the size of our thumb. Penden sawa lama rinpoche dagin dinga pempen tenchun la karen chemo konin chisin te kusun tuki ngondru chodang tumbo ngondru cheng du so. Then Lama Tsongkhapa comes forth and comes on top of our head, very gently, facing the same direction as we. We make our final request that Lama Tsongkhapa's holy mind may meld with ours. Penden sawa lama rinpoche dagin dinga pempen tenchun la karen chemo konin chisin te chanchu nipo ba du ten para shu. Lama Tsongkhapa's holy golden-like body dissolves to our central channel and comes to our heart. A lotus opens, and Lama Tsongkhapa enters that lotus, and the petals close, sealing Lama Tsongkhapa in, which is symbolic with him becoming one with our mind. Then the cloud-like, yogurt-like string extends from the top of him through the lotus top, the petals, up our central channel, and it leaves the crown of our head, and it connects directly back to Lord Maitreya, which cannot be cut. So whatever we do, wherever we are during that day, we should keep awareness of this connection to Lord Maitreya and to never be separated from Lord Maitreya. Symbolically,
it is never to be separated from compassion, and to remember compassion, to enact the practice to develop compassion, and outwardly to take rebirth in Tushita, or Gaden. To be Lord Maitreya's foremost disciple, born from a lotus, to listen to his Dharma talk,